It's Wednesday night, and that means it's time for the Lamar Thomas Show, featuring the greatest receiver in the history of college football. Just ask them, Lamar Thomas.
I was born in Ocala, Florida. I moved to Gainesville to go to high school. Being recruited probably since the 9th grade, illegally, I might add, by the University of Florida. I still can remember Coach Solinger, Don Solinger, coming out to our practice one day. Here it is, this guy comes out in the University of Miami jacket, and I said, I can't believe that's Miami out here. And, you know, I wanted to go up and say, hey, I'm Lamar Thomas. And actually, I did walk up to him and I said, hey, Coach, I'm Lamar Thomas. And he said, I know. And that was the start of my relationships with the University of Miami.
Patton, another good block, and Toretto lays it out.
You come down here, you'll be on TV every weekend, dominating. I thought about it. I said, man, where do I sign? My mom, on Saturday mornings, I would wake up and she'd be holding my hand. I thought she was the weirdest lady in the world. But she was holding my hands and she would be rubbing them and saying, one day these hands are gonna make you a lot of money. She was smart.
So now, here he is, the great one, along with co-host Gary Furman of Canesport.com, Lamar Thomas.
I'm still amazed. Every time I see that play, I am just blown away by how easily you beat that cornerback from Penn State.
I mean, hey, shouldn't have had his ass out there.
Talent is talent. Welcome back, everybody, to the Lamar Thomas Show. It's Wednesday night, and that means we're about to have a lot of fun. I'm Gary Furman, the publisher of Canesport.com. He is the Lamar Thomas, and man, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Lamar is sitting at Caneswear, and the shelves are stocked for this weekend. Because unfortunately for just about everybody in the Canes business, the last couple weeks, things have probably slowed down a little bit. So make sure you make Caneswear your stop on the way to the stadium on Saturday and show Brett and those guys.
Hey, Ken, what time we opening on Saturday, man? Regular hours. 10 to 7. Come on down here before you get to the stadium. Get some of this nice gear. See this hat right here?
Wow, that is a nice hat.
Right here. That's a nice hat right there. And look at this shirt right here. Look at this. Yeah, you get that nice gear. Come on, man. You got to go out and support. Whoever is going to the game, you have to go out and support. Even though our starting quarterback doesn't like to play at home.
Oh, that was bad. We got a great show for you guys tonight. We got Steve Walsh scheduled to join the show. We got Melvin Bratton scheduled to join the show, and Anthony Hamlet also scheduled to join the show. So you should get a lot of really good commentary and opinions on a lot of different subjects. Lamar, I don't know.
But Gary, the whole theme of that is they all played on the 87 team.
That's right.
Who we're celebrating the 1987 national championship team this weekend at the UNC game. So this will be great. They'll tell some great stories. We'll ask them why they came to the University of Miami and what was it like winning the national championship on arguably one of the best teams to ever play at the University of Miami.
I'm glad you knew that because we didn't know that.
They don't tell everybody.
Did they promote anything?
I don't think so.
I haven't seen a press release on that or anything, man.
It is what it is, man. It's Miami, bro.
Crazy. All right, but we got more significant things to talk about than the marketing department. LT, so I'm watching that open, and I'm watching you blow by the Penn State cornerback, and it was a painful experience for me because it brought back immediate memories of what we watched 10 days ago now when Miami played Middle Tennessee State. And we talked to Kevin Steele this week. Thought he made a great point. You know, he had 61 defensive plays where he thought his guys played pretty well, didn't have much problem with it, some minor corrections here and there. But then there were 4 that you just look at and you say, oh my God. And when you factor in the offense giving them 10 points to start the game, now you're talking about basically spotting Middle Tennessee State, 38 points. Lamar, you've played a lot of football in your life. You spot anybody 38 points, you got a problem on your hands.
Yeah, that was a bad situation there, especially when for some unknown reason they didn't know that these guys could run. I mean, hell, by the second quarter, I could tell you those guys could run. But actually, by the first quarter. But when you let those guys get a little too close to you, and you can run, but you can't run like those guys, it's a problem. So what your best bet is to let everything happen in front of you and just try to make tackles. And hopefully the quarterback won't be on. He'll maybe even make some mistakes, overthrows, some underthrows, and things like that. But you just can't let people just run by you. Either you blowing a coverage or you just flat out letting them run by you. It's unacceptable.
I called it a complete organizational breakdown. Just complete. I mean, not just the players. Certainly the coaches had their hand in it. But I felt it went beyond that, Lamar. I mean, I look at the advanced scouts, the guys that put the scouting reports together. Somebody dropped the ball on that team and underestimated their receiver talent for sure. Kevin Steele probably had a couple bad calls. He owned the whole thing. Some of the cornerbacks maybe didn't line up properly and maybe were being a little bit too aggressive and subjected themselves to those guys running right by them. So the focus on the quarterback situation, which we'll obviously talk about a lot tonight, I think took a little bit away from the focus on the defense, LT. But this was a total, complete organizational breakdown, in my opinion.
Yeah, I saw some things also in that game. I mean, we can throw the defensive backs out there all day, but because they had some glaring mistakes. But even like the D-line, they still had guys being selfish, not maintaining their gap integrity. Defensive ends trying to be too overly aggressive and going towards the quarterback, letting the quarterback get outside. I mean, that's what it all boils down to. Because I'm pretty sure as you watch the defense, you see the way it's supposed to be, and then you see a guy get overzealous and try to get to the passer when it's another guy supposed to get there, and now it just opens up a huge area, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, how did they do that again?" Well, it's guys not doing what they're being coached to do, and so as we have these growing pains along the way, and this is why Mario Cristobal was brought here. We thought that not down in the last coaching staff, Manny Diaz, but they were a little lax on things. And I'm pretty sure that those guys got some earfuls over the last 2 weekends, over the last 2 weeks about what they were doing wrong. And you can't be, unfortunately, in college football, obviously, some of these kids don't like to be coached hard. Well, if you don't want to be coached hard with a coach who's been through it, then it's going to be time for you to move on. And hopefully we can bring some other people in here that want to be coached hard, because that's how you get better. You get coached hard and you compete every day. Every day you stay up to practice every day, which, by the way, I just heard, I was watching the press conference where I heard that the TVD said that he started sitting down with Josh Gaddish. He started sitting down with Frank Ponce. He started. I mean, what the hell, man? No wonder you don't like playing at home.
I didn't understand that.
You've been our starting quarterback for a while now, and you never sat down and talked to the coordinators, or you never sat down with these guys. I mean, I know Frank Ponce. Frank Ponce is a great guy to talk to. Hell, I'll talk to him all the time. Gaddis seems like a great guy. Hell, you're the starting quarterback. You're supposed to sit down and you guys go over your script and you say, "Coach, I don't like this play. Coach, I'm real comfortable with this play. Coach, I like this play on 3rd and 8. Coach, I like this play." This is what
every program I've been in, even Hampton University, Boynton Beach High School, you sit down with the quarterback and you say, what plays do you not like? What plays do you like? What plays will he be successful at? And that way you have a great feeling when you call those plays. You don't just call plays knowing the guy didn't like the play. You sit down with the quarterback. It's just when I heard that, it was like, it kind of took me back to last year when the leading receiver in school history said that, or was it the year before? I think it was last year when he said, we're going to start staying after practice, man, because now we're seeing some things change because, we've had some success. No, fool. You're in big time college football. You should be staying after practice. That's how you get better. You get better by putting in the work, the time, when no one's looking. You do what you have to do. You study. You do all these things you're supposed to do. You just don't go get your NIL money and take girls to the movies, which
that was so crazy, LT, that I almost don't believe it. I mean,
it came out of his mouth. He seemed like he was serious about it.
But he's been saying all kinds of crazy. I mean, I don't know, man. But if he's telling the truth, that is crazy. Crazy.
You got to have your starting quarterback sit down with those play callers, and you have to be on the same page of what you don't like. Unless even Bobby Petrino did it. And, Bobby Petrino, that's hard. But he at least sat down with his quarterbacks. I heard him, hey, this is a play we're going to run. The quarterback said, this is the play we're going to run. Okay, I like it, coach.
They say in these situations that teams typically want to get right back out there and just get all the anger and bad feelings out of their system and get back out there right away. I think that this was a good week to have an open week, Lamar. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it was definitely a great week to have that open week because, you got to bring back the competition, man. These guys got to learn how to compete. Hell, they obviously weren't doing it on 2 Saturdays ago. They weren't competing because that was not good. I mean, you competed some of the times, but compete against each other on the practice field. Open up competitions. Guys might get their feelings hurt, but the guys that get their feelings hurt, that's because, hey, man, you shouldn't be giving anything. You have to go out and earn it every day. And so they go out, they earn it. They feel so much better about the position that they've won that on Saturdays it should be a lot easier. And and it even starts at the quarterback position. I hope Mario has some type of competition and just don't feel like he's hurting this guy's feelings by saying, hey, man, let's see what happens this week. Because it should be. I mean, you already got your money. You're financially set for a couple of years. You got a nice car. You go out and you perform, man. You compete. I mean, and maybe you'll like playing at home. I can't get over that comment. That comment it burns inside. It's
having a rough few weeks.
I'm pretty sure every Miami fan is saying, "What? Why? How? Did no one coach him on that? Man, that was the wrong thing to say, buddy." So you're going to have to play 10 times better because there are going to be some boos, and you're going to have to block out that outside noise because you made that statement. So hopefully whoever wins it, if he wins it, he goes out there and he plays well. Because the first time he doesn't, you're going to have the boo birds. This is Miami, man. You made a statement against him. And that's how these fans are. So hopefully if he won the position, which it sounds like he did again, so he's going to have to go out and hopefully he has a good start. I hope unlike most of the games he's played in, he's going to have a good start.
All right. The Lamar Thomas Show is presented by Caneswear, where Lamar is tonight, the place for all your game day needs. You can visit the store on University Drive in Davie. You can go to caneswear.com 24/365 and do your shopping that way. The show is also sponsored by the law office of Christine Rosendahl. She's the lady that will get you out of any jam that you might get into here in South Florida. 561-512-6199 is her number. You see the web address there at the bottom of the screen as well. If you need some legal help, check out Christine Rosendahl. And tonight's show is also brought to you by the place that is feeding Lamar, and that is La Spada Sub Shop. The most amazing sub shop in all South Florida, quite honestly. If you like a lot of meat on your sandwich, they don't skimp at all. They make phenomenal subs, and they're feeding LT well tonight. And the greatest thing about Las Spadas is you can go to Caneswear, you can get all your Canes gear, and then you can go right over down the strip center to Las Spadas, get yourself some nice big subs to take to the stadium. And there's many places along University Drive there. You could stop and buy your beer and stuff, and boom, right to the tailgate.
Best damn subs in town. No, best damn hoagies in town. I'm sorry. Yeah, how about that?
They really are. All right, I got a guy in the lobby who's chomping at the bit to get in here and have his 2 words on all these subjects, and that's the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner. So we'll bring him into the party. And Bruce, what do the fans think about last week and now going into this week? And what's the pulse of the Canes fan?
Just go on your website, my friend. It's ugly. Oh my God, is it ugly? They're after you. They're after. One guy said, "When is Mario going to step down?" Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I deleted that one. That's embarrassing.
Months ago, Lamar, they were jumping up and down. All the recruits we got, the 4-stars, the 5-stars, we're back. Now they want to lynch the guy. It's just unbelievable. It's
when they say we're back, I say, where are we back to?
No, I'm just saying they said we're back after the recruiting. But here's the issue. So 3 weeks ago, we play A&M. Game's over. I'm doing a post-game show with Gary. And it's like, we lost. But, the muff punt killed us and the drops killed us. Both of us were like, hey, we went out there and we played ball with these guys. We were physical. We were in their face. We had a better game. We had more yards. We had more first downs. We destroyed them except on the scoreboard. Then they come out in the last 2 weeks ago and lay an egg. So it's like everybody, I need a psychiatrist for this. I just can't figure this out. I'm still in shock. You mentioned it before about the defense giving up those 4 bombs. I don't care what the scouting report says. If you're the defensive coordinator and you guys have two defensive backs beaten badly, you change it up. You don't let it go for a 3rd and then a 4th touchdown. What the hell is that? I saw Steele's press conference. He admitted it's all on him. I don't give a damn. Fix it during the game, not in the 2-week break. Why did he do something about that? Help your team. So, and then you mentioned the team speed of the receivers. Where the hell's our team speed? This is Miami.
Oh, we don't have team speed.
Our speed. We don't have it. What the hell's going on? So
here's what I'm going to say. LT, you were part of the Ruthless Posse, okay?
It was.
One of the greatest collections of receiving talent in Miami history. I don't remember you guys doing 4 bombs like that, 70, 80 yards, 4 of them in a single game like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember you guys doing that at any point to one opponent, no matter who they were. 4 bombs, untouched, 3 of them untouched touchdowns.
We would get you once or twice a game, maybe once. One guy would. And basically it was what we were taught to do is we took a lot of underneath throws and to try to get you to come up, because most people, which I've talked about this before, the smart defensive coordinators say, okay, hey, look, I'm just going to have to make this guy drive the ball down the field.
Yeah.
The more play calls he has, the more opportunities for him to screw up or for them to screw up. But if I give him a big play, then that's not good. So they would stay back. They would be 15 yards off. We would throw hitches.
Yeah.
Then finally you come up. Now we run a hitch and go, because you got tired of me catching a hitch in front of you, taking my helmet off, talking about your mama. So, at some point you bite on it, and then I run by you, and I mean, I wasn't the fastest. Those other guys were fast. So those were the guys you really had to worry about. The Horace Copeland's going 99 yards, Kevin Williams going 70 yards. I mean, hell, I just hoped and prayed I got there.
But that was isolated plays. Like, this was 4 in one game.
Man. I had to immediately call Terrell Buckley, who was my boss, by the way. I called him and I just asked him a question. Hey, man, let me ask you this. if you're in the game and you know, by like the first quarter, you can tell if a guy can really run. Because I know as a receiver, I kind of test them out on run plays just to see if they could run. You know, like testing out Deion Sanders. I'm like, okay, it's the first play. They're not throwing it to me. I'm just going to see if how fast I can get down the field and see how fast he is. Well, I found out as I was running, he was talking to me. Hey, Lamar, this isn't Florida State versus Miami. I mean, in a calm voice, and I was sprinting. He was jogging. So I knew that he's fast. I asked Terrell, I said, you know, by the first quarter, by the first couple plays, if a guy can run, he goes, well, it comes from film study too. But obviously in real life, you see a guy can run, you're going to give him that respect, you know, because the last thing you want is someone to beat you over the top. You know, so
especially DJ Ivy.
I think they knew the guys could run. It's just that, you know, hey, if you call on press play and for the defensive back to go up and press, you know, this guy's a sprinter, I'm going to try to tackle him, whatever I can, because I know if he gets by me, he's gone. I can't catch him. And
I'm not sure they knew that one guy could run the way he was able to run.
Well, I tried to watch the next game against UTSA, and I didn't even see number 3. So he must have pulled a hamstring from all that damn running he had against Miami. Shit, he was out.
Where was the help over the top, Lamar? Where were the safeties? I didn't see him in the screen.
They got run out the screen. It was like they were on the escalator going backwards.
It's sad. That was really
bad, man. It was pretty bad enough that I was hoping that we would come on this show and start talking about UNC as soon as possible.
We are right now.
But you know that still has a salty taste in your mouth because you know that's vinegar chips because they've been beating our ass the last couple of years. I mean, and I swear that old coach Manny had to call him daddy. You know, well, I mean,
we got Walsh coming up, so Walsh will help us with our offensive plan for this weekend because we got to be able to move that ball. We can't give them the ball, 80, 90 plays because they're pretty damn good.
So they had the open week.
Yeah.
Right. To me, that's like circle the wagons. I'm expecting a really good performance Saturday. I see that this team that they were embarrassed. Just like we talked about Texas A&M a couple weeks ago, was going to be ready to play. They were. I'm expecting Miami to be ready to play Saturday on both sides of the ball. I expect them to be well prepared. The offense, Lamar, I mean, they're out of sorts. I mean, they've got no rhythm going. The quarterback is rattled. They can't get the right calls. They're having a tough time getting receivers to run the right routes. TVD is taking too long to make his reads. He's holding the ball too long. I mean, there is everything wrong on offense. Can that be corrected in 2 weeks, Lamar?
I think you can work towards it. I think one of the things I saw from film study watching these guys is that they've been kind of focused. I won't say he was focused on his first read. I never saw him go to the second and third read. I mean, that the tight end on the 4th and 1, he was going to him the whole time. And number 80 was right behind him. I mean, maybe the spacing was a little off, but number 80 was behind him. I think Middle Tennessee knew that they were going to 85. He wasn't in the end zone. Right. That's something to talk about. So
you got to get in the end zone.
You got to get in the end zone. I mean, after the longest play in the history, they had a quarter change, a timeout, another timeout. And you mean to tell me no one told this guy and he didn't have the wherewithal to say, I got to get in the end zone? Even if he caught it, they tackled him at the 1. I mean, that was pretty bad. So I don't know who to blame on, but I know my buddy Stephen Field, he'll talk you to death. Now I know he told him you got to get in that end zone. So I put that on the players because that was terrible. So even if it was the quarterback made the read, in my mind, and the way it looked like he was going to that guy no matter what. Two guys. One guy came off for the other guy. The other guy came. It was in between two.
Arroyo was in the area. Lamar, I think Mario's playing himself out of the draft completely. I just don't know what he's one of the worst blockers I've ever seen for a tight end, and it seems like he's just sluggish.
He's the new Gesicki. That's who he think. He's been watching Gesicki. All they do is throw it to him. They don't put him in the block. I guarantee you that. I've seen he's a terrible blocker, but he does the same when they throw it up to him. 6'7". I mean, maybe Mallory is that's who he's trying to be. So there's a space for it.
Why would he only be getting to his first read? Well, what are the reasons for that?
I don't think he's comfortable. I don't think he's comfortable with the guys, the guys that he's supposed to have making the plays. You look at, and I said this before the season started, that I thought Miami was going to have to win games from the inside out. And what I meant by that, I thought that they were going to have to win games like the old New England Patriots, who only had one guy on the outside, that was Randy Moss. The rest of the time, it was everybody inside all those little receivers, Edelman and Gronk. Those guys, those type of guys. You win them inside. You win the game inside. Then you get single coverage on the outside, you make plays. That's what I thought Miami was going to have to do. But then your guy goes down, number 7. Now you got Mallory, who he hasn't played the way I thought he was going to play this year.
Right.
And I think maybe the focus is, maybe the other team knows that, you do. If I'm a smart defensive coordinator, I am double teaming him. I'm making everybody else around me beat me. Number 5, I'm going to make him beat me. I'm not going to kick it to him anymore because he's done a hell of a job on special teams. But I'm going to make him beat me, and if he beats me, so be it. Number 12, number 83, all these guys, number 0, all these guys are non-factors. They got to beat somebody.
Right. He has no comfort level with them, Lamar. And you had comfort levels with Geno. He has no comfort level with these guys. And you lose the guys from last year, but they're gone. They're gone. Forget it. But Restrepo, he knows where he's going to be, even if he has a blindfold on. He knows where this kid's going to be. These other guys, they might not be open. That could be one of the reasons why he's holding that ball. He's looking for somebody to come back to him or whatever. Mm-hmm. He has no rhythm with these kids. None.
And maybe
that's why I want to ask Steve Walsh about this stuff.
And maybe him and Restrepo probably worked together. When you spend a lot of time working with a guy after practice or during the summers and all this other stuff, you form some type of bond. Maybe it doesn't seem like those other guys work together because it looks like a foreign, like they just learned this offense.
Yeah. I mean, Restrepo, he can look at him and Restrepo knows what he's thinking. He looks over at Ladson or somebody or Redding and they go, huh? What am I supposed to do? They're not on the same page.
Let me ask you something. So you've recruited for, I believe, 3 different colleges. So you 4 different colleges. So you understand recruiting. This is the question I get from the fans all the time. Miami has just as many 4-star players as Clemson. There's not that big of a difference. Miami's been recruiting 4 stars. All these guys, Brinson, Redding, Ladson, they all were very highly rated offensive receivers coming out of high school. Why would it not be translating over to the college game?
Well, you have to work. You have to learn the system. You have to put time in. I mean, Wiggins was a hot commodity, and what was that other guy, number 6? The 2 guys that left. They both were hot commodities coming out. But obviously, there was some disconnect there, whether they couldn't learn the plays or they just didn't put the time in to be successful. And that's what you have to do. I mean, there was a reason why Frank Ladson didn't play at Clemson. There's a reason. You say they just don't like me because I'm from South Florida? No, they recruited you. You just weren't good enough to play for Clemson, where there's competition. That's why those teams are good, because they compete. They got enough guys that they're competing every day, just like the old school guys. They're competing. The good programs, they're competing. You're afraid of the guy behind you because he's going to take your spot. So every day you got to lace him up and go to practice like, okay, it's game day. Did they have to do that last year? Have they had to do that around here? Mario's bringing it back, but it's not there yet. Who's behind me? I went in that receiver room, and there ain't too many guys. There's a lot of walk-ons in there. Those aren't the guys playing. Maybe 6 guys that are playing. So you don't have much to worry about. I mean, that's
how do you explain that?
They had guys leave. I mean, no one thought Rambo was going to leave. No one thought. I mean, obviously the record breaker was there 9 years. What's his name?
Harley.
Yeah, he was there 9 years. So I mean, they had some guys leave. They had some guys transfer because
Hey, LT.
Mario came in, and think about it, Wiggins and Pope. They left. So now you're putting, they were trying to get guys to come in. I'm sure they were, but they didn't. Somehow they didn't get them. But they got guys at other positions, and they probably thought that they were going to be able to make it, and they got to step up. That's what it all boils down to. And I'm not saying these kids are bad. I just want to see them make plays, man. I know they can. They're here for a reason. So why not go out and work your tailbones off and get better? It's no sense. I shouldn't have to tell number 0, hey man, you should be right out there right now catching balls instead of inside after this scrimmage. I mean, I didn't see you score a touchdown. I didn't see you have, that's what we would have done. I mean, it was just human nature. You're embarrassed. You want to make plays. You want to get better. You want to feel like you're putting the bad game or the bad scrimmage to rest by catching.
But the kids these days, they'd rather feel like they're being wronged, like somebody's taking something away from them, not playing them enough or giving them enough reps. But when what you're saying is the actual truth, like you have to earn it and you have to make yourself a good enough player. And the version of you that was on playing a Traz Powell a couple years ago isn't good enough for this.
Well, we all know that every step you take, whether it's from little league to high school to college to the pros, it's huge different. It gets faster. The game, you sooner, if you get good enough, it slows down for you, but you have to put that time and that effort, that work in for it to. I mean, you come in here from Gainesville and seeing all these great athletes down here. I mean, the only thing I could do was say, okay, how can I break in? How can I break in this alignment with all these great players? Well, I gotta outwork these guys. I gotta look at each and every guy and see what their weaknesses are and capitalize on their weaknesses. So some guys weren't great route runners. I said, I gotta be a great route runner. I have to attack the football. I have to use my God-given talent as far as basketball player, high jumper. I have to be able to attack the football. I have to block first, even though I didn't want to. I have to block because that's the only way I'm going to get on the field at first. I got to do it. So I blocked. I did all that blocking that redshirt freshman year, and then I got lucky because they had to check sometimes. And when they checked, I caught the ball. So I said, okay, I got to be consistent at catching the ball. How do you get consistent at catching the ball? You catch. You run routes when you're tired, because that's what the game's about. And you want to be counted on when the game's on at the end of the game. You want to still be fresh, or you want to be mentally fresh enough to say, well, shit, I did it every day after practice. Fourth quarter, let's go. I mean, these are the thoughts that you have to be successful, man. That's what I learned, that not from the coaches, not from Jimmy Johnson, not from Gary Stevens, not from Hubbard Alexander, not from Rich Olsen, Barbara Costin. I didn't learn that from them. I learned that from what was passed down from the Michael Irvins, from the Eddie Browns, to Brian Blaze, all these guys, Brett Perrimans. All these guys just passed it on down to the Dale Dawkins, the Andre Browns, who passed it down. I watched them for a year and I said, okay, I see what the blueprint is. Got to go get it. That's what it's about. But obviously, they haven't had anybody like that. I mean, obviously Harley and Rambo had a great year. I can't take anything from them. But what was their work ethic like? When that guy Osborne came here, I knew we had some issues when he stepped in here and outworked everybody. From freaking Buffalo.
And Harley was the same way. Harley outworked everybody.
Yeah, but it came from freaking Buffalo, and I wish some MF Wood tried to come down when we was in school, trying to talk about he's gonna start. I choke the hell out of him. I beat him every day.
Hey, LT, you know what? I'll be real blunt. Maybe these kids aren't that good. I don't care how many stars they got.
They were 4 stars. They were 4 stars.
I truly believe in my classmate. and the staff he's put together, and I think that they're going to get it right. But it's going to take some time, man.
Yeah.
It's going to take some time for them to build this thing so it can compete with the Clemsons, because they got depth. You don't really have no depth, man.
Well,
We got guys hurt. Now we're starting to struggle a little bit. There's no depth. That's when we're going to get back to winning championships or competing for the ACC championship, when you got depth to be able to go through a whole year and have guys that starter plays 70% of the time. The other guy comes in and plays 30% of the time, and there's not a fall off.
Well, as it pertains to the 2022 season, guys, they don't have time. The time is now, as my man John Ruiz at Life Wallet would say. The time is now. This game Saturday is
it's everything, Gary. It's everything.
It really is. I mean, you got a lot of recruits coming in. You know, big game at home. If you win, you're 3-2, and now you have a chance to go into the ACC Coastal and you know build some victories. You're playing Virginia Tech. You're playing Virginia. You're playing Duke. You know, these are all games that if you take care of business, you know you should win them, and you could have a pretty good record going into November when you've got some pretty good games that, and then they'll start putting you on primetime TV again and things like that. You'll have earned your respect back. So 2 weeks to get everything right, and there's a lot they got to get right. Again, LT, you've coached a long time with a lot of different coaches, a lot of different head coaches. This is Mario Cristobal's challenge right now. I got to get this team right. I have essentially 13 days because they came in the Sunday after. I got to get this team right to put up a big performance against North Carolina. Is that reality? Can they do it?
Hell yeah.
I think they can. Hell, we got to – I think this staff, and I like to think that this staff is good enough to make an adjustment. Now, they didn't last week against 2 weeks ago against Middle Tennessee State. But they should be good enough to make the adjustments. You think about UNC running for almost 600 yards against us and them not making adjustments. I really truly believe that this staff can make those adjustments, and these kids should be able to listen. I mean, this is a game. My personal opinion, you got to win. I mean, that's
sure you have to win.
You got to win this one.
I agree.
If you have any chance on thinking that you're going to be able to compete at the end for maybe a chance to go to the ACC championship,
I have no doubt that they're going to lay it on the line just like an A&M game. But I don't know if they're good enough to stop these guys. That's my problem. I know they're going to play hard. I know they're going to play physical. I know they're home. They're going to get the crowd into it. I don't know if they're good enough on either side of the ball to stop North Carolina.
North Carolina's a team that can score in bunches. They, scored 63 points to beat Appalachian State. They scored 56 points against FAMU in their opener. Okay, that's an overmatched opponent. Scored 41 last week against Virginia Tech. Only scored 32 against Notre Dame in the one game they've lost. But Miami figures to need to score in this game. And I've got a guy in the lobby right now, Lamar, that patented scoring points at Miami. One of the most perfect quarterbacks that we've ever had at the U. He's all dressed up for us tonight, so let's get him in here. And that is our main man, Steve Walsh. Welcome, Steve, to the Lamar Thomas Show.
The LT show, huh? Wow.
Hey, Steve, I'm a long way from that freshman year, what you did to me, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Just so everybody knows, just so everyone knows that Steve Walsh was the senior, the guy who had just led us to a national championship when I got here. And we were playing Florida State, first game of the year. And I was redshirted, but I was going to get every warm-up rep I could. And so I got up there with the starting quarterback, and he got up under center and looked over there and said, get him out of here. He's not playing. And I felt about that small. And it made me work after that. I said that will never happen to me again.
Well, listen, let's also tell the rest of the story, the fact that, Andre Brown, Randall Hill, Dale Dawkins had not started a game, and that was my receiving core.
Correct.
Now, it turned out pretty good, but I was not going to lose a rep throwing to Randall or Dale for a skinny kid from Gainesville.
Now, that segues into this, Steve. I'm glad you said that. We have a quarterback at the University of Miami. Can you expand on he's kind of going through the same thing. Can you expand on your thought process going into the season with a young, inexperienced receiving core?
Well, it's funny because I knew that was coming, as far as him being the experienced, veteran quarterback, if you will, if you want to call him that. But he lost some really good receivers, and it was
so did you.
It was very similar to what we had in '87, then to this new batch of guys that just were unproven. And Gary Stevens, who our coordinator at the time, talked about it. He said, Steve, we got Cleveland Gary and you got Rob Chudzinski. And with you and those two guys, we can win football games until the other guys step up. And I told almost verbatim to Tyler, just that is what you got to do. You got to figure out in the summer, who can you depend on to win these first games early, and then let these guys get their feet up under them and get some confidence. And I'm not sure if that's happened. I didn't watch the last game very closely, and I saw the score. I definitely turned it off. But I did watch the A&M game, and I mean, they had chances. They had chances to pull that victory out, and they couldn't convert in the red zone. They couldn't make the big play when they needed it. I'm still high on Tyler that he can get things rallied, but it is similar. He lost an unbelievable playmaking cast of the receivers. Now he's got to depend on that tight end and a couple of his backs until that receiving core gets their confidence back up.
Steve, I'm glad you're on the show because it's good to have this information. But we're talking about somebody that in the last few weeks, the fans are screaming about his lack of pocket presence, him throwing off his back foot, him locking on the first receiver and not checking down. Talk about that, because the receivers, which could be a part of it, he's not familiar with these guys. But talk about that.
And a new offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lamar hit it best. I mean, it is a new offense, it's a new system, and there's a level of comfortness that he might have had in the system last year. And and this is not to point fingers at anybody on the coaching staff, but sometimes he has to get very comfortable with how plays are called and understand what why are we calling this play? What is the ultimate? Is it to get 4 yards? Is it to get 40 yards? Because that's okay. Some plays you call to get 4 to set up the 40. And
right, yes.
Maybe he's not, just gathering that or processing that. I don't know. I haven't had an opportunity to really sit down and study all the film, but there's talent there. We know that. We've seen it at the end of last season where he was playing at a really high level. Now, how can he get back to that? How can the coaches get back to that with him so that he does put the offense in a better situation, play in and play out?
Hey, Steve, okay, how many nights did you sit up with Gary Stevens while he was smoking all them damn cigarettes?
Yeah.
And y'all have a conversation about what plays you liked and what plays you didn't like. They're saying that right now, this is what Tyler Van Dyke is saying right now, that, so Gaddis and I and Frank Ponce, we were spending more time together trying to decipher and figure out what plays are the best. Every offense, since coaching, every offensive coordinator I've been around, even at Hampton, the quarterback sat down with the coordinators and they talked about what plays they felt more comfortable calling, and like you said, what situations and stuff like that. So that was kind of weird for me to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was no 4.5 hour rule in my
that's true.
Football, and if we were playing Notre Dame or Florida State, I was in there till 10 o'clock at night. If it was a lesser directional school, if we ever had those on our schedule, maybe it was 9:45 or 9:30. But reality is, you have to have a relationship. The coach player, the quarterback and coach relationship has to be extremely efficient, effective, and that relationship has to be solid because, as a coach, you got something dialed up, and they give us the right defense, and all of a sudden he doesn't execute the way that you wanted to. It's not going to look pretty. So, you have to be on the same page. You have to understand the whys. And, I'm sure this staff, I got a lot of confidence in this staff that they're doing that. It just, something isn't clicking, and they're trying to work through it and figure it out, obviously, because they know how critical that is. I mean, I think he is still the answer to a successful season, at quarterback.
Yeah. And he's got 4 running backs hurt. 2 of them are going to play, Parrish and Rooster, but they were banged up. They probably hardly practiced in the last week. So that's not helping him either. You had guys back there. Another thing you were great at, and I'm glad Melvin's going to be on, is swing passes to Melvin, screens to Melvin, middle screens to Melvin, tosses. They're not doing that. It's just they're running between the tackles. I haven't seen any screens in a couple of weeks.
Well, Bruce, hold on, Bruce. Me being around the program, not being in 87, but just knowing Melvin was supposed to block half the damn time, and he gave a shallow block, and he was like, ooh, I'm open. So Steve had to dump it to him.
Well, it just the rest of that story was in spring ball, Melvin was not known for his physical blocking, and legendary Joe Brodsky would just get up to every time. Melvin, God dang it, block him. And I'm sitting in a chapel, so otherwise I could lace this.
We got you.
Anyways, but so Melvin couldn't block Danny Stubbs, and that's who we practiced against all spring. Mm-hmm. So we kind of came up with this thing. All right, listen, go like you're going to block him, and then just slip around him. And if I don't have Michael open on the out route, then I'll just throw it to you. And everybody's running. And now I got the ball to Melvin with his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. And Melvin was blessed with obviously a great wiggle, as we say. He could certainly turn a linebacker around. And now he's running through the defense. And it was just my arm wasn't that strong, but it wasn't that weak that I couldn't make a 3-yard pass. Right. So that's what it came about. And then we just kind of kept doing that at different points in the year, and became a very good weapon for us.
It did.
Now I got to ask you this question. They were saying that and I heard this story, and it I don't know if it was true, but it caused me to save up my money. And I went out to Pinole, California with Gino Toretta to spend 3 weeks with him before the season. Yeah. Because I heard that Michael Irvin went with you home, and y'all had that relationship. So I said, I'm going to do that too. Is that the truth? Because I didn't know if it was true. It sounded good, and hell, I wanted to go to California. There was a lot of people out there.
You got ripped off, man. No, Michael always keeping his eye on the media, right? He was going up to Minnesota to participate in Minnesota Gophers quarterback was a kid by the name of Ricky Foggy, and he was a good college player. I remember him. Played CFL for a while, but Michael went up there and he said, "Hey, I'm coming up for this football camp or whatever. Let's make sure we get together to throw, and then we'll tell everybody that I worked out with you all summer." Like that was totally his thing. And so, okay, fine. So we go to the University of Minnesota and throw, and I swear to God, every starting cornerback from the Gophers were like, all right, Michael's up. Let's go. Who wants to cover him? Like, no, man, my hamstring's a little tight. We'd have to get down to like the 3rd or 4th string guy because nobody wanted to cover him. And so he definitely parlayed that. He got a lot of money out of that story, so to speak.
Wow.
And that's awesome. Right?
Wow, that is awesome. You need to give me my money back.
Hey, Steve. So the fans have been, you lose to Middle Tennessee State, that's not going to play very well down here in Miami and many parts beyond. A lot of fans were willing to give up on Tyler Van Dyke. He was very rattled in the Middle Tennessee State game. I know you didn't see it. Was clearly his worst game as a Miami Hurricane. He threw an interception. Had 2 interceptions on the first 2 offensive plays. One was his fault, clearly. The other one was a batted pass by the defensive end out on the flat. And then they had a fumble on like their 6th offensive play. So that was 3 turnovers early. Middle Tennessee gets out to a big lead. The defense had a horrible day also. They gave up 4 bombs for touchdowns. They essentially spotted this team 38 points and had to try to win. But a lot of the fans were willing to give up on Tyler. Tyler's not the same Tyler as last year. He's got to go. We want the backup Jake Garcia to come in, that sort of thing. But the thing is, like, no, he's not the same Tyler as last year, Steve, because nothing's the same as last year. He's got a new head coach. He's got a new coordinator. He's got a new system. He's got NIL deals galore. Like, he's making a lot of money, which can work in both ways. A, he's making a lot of money. B, he has a lot of responsibility. And C, he's got a lot of teammates probably wishing they were making as much money as he's making, if we keep it real and be honest. And on top of that, he lost 1,700 yards of receiving production. His best pass catchers are no longer on campus. He's having to play with a whole new receiving core. Oh, by the way, the best of those guys, the guy that clearly was the standout through spring and fall and was his security blanket, is hurt and now out for 7 weeks. His roommate, Xavier Restrepo. So he lost that too. Tight end Mallory's been banged up. He's not playing as well as he would have played. So no, he's not the same Tyler Van Dyke, but there's nothing that is the same for this kid. Nothing at all. So, you know, you can relate obviously to all these things. I mean, you went through so much of this in your career and have observed so much. What is a fair expectation for Tyler Van Dyke? And if receivers aren't running the right routes, if the offensive line's not blocking as well as it should, if the offensive coordinator isn't figuring out what to call with this set of personnel that he's playing with this year, if everything is just a total state of mess and everything's broken down and has to be fixed, how much responsibility is fair on the quarterback? And when is it fair to sit him down and say, you're not getting it done, we're going with somebody else, after he has a resume that showed that he can do it? He had 6 straight 300-yard games to finish last season.
Yeah, I think, first there's a lot there. First,
I know.
Fans.
I had to give it all
always,
to you.
Yeah, I was pretty
fans,
long-winded,
when
Gary.
things are not going well offensively, fans are always going to call for the backup. Unfortunately, I backed up a bunch of guys that never played bad. I had Peyton Manning and even Dilfer. Dilfer played his best when I was his back.
Wow.
So, but anyway, the guys, fans are going to call for that. Well, listen, there's a reason he's the backup. All right. Because coaches have watched every rep, every day he's been on campus, and he's not better than the guy that we have. They make a decision. They put the best guy in there. That's just, purely what happens. But yeah, at some point you got to say, okay, are we better off with somebody that's got, 70% of the potential of TVD that might just play efficiently and give us a chance? Or do we want to go for the whole thing and get this kid to play right and maybe get us into a New Year's Day type bowl, and that'd be Tyler Van Dyke. So you got to make those decisions. In a game like Middle, and hey, the little bit I saw, Middle came to play and they made some plays, and whether it's poor defense, poor offense, whatever it is, whenever Miami of my time played, it was, the thing that would always be ringing in my ears: don't be a pig. And this was Gary Stevens telling me, just because we're playing this team that we should beat by 40 doesn't mean you just drop back and throw it up into coverage and expect our guys to magically come down with the ball. You got to read the defense. You got to make good decisions. Playing quarterback is about making good decisions. You make bad decisions, you lose the ball game. All right. Now you need support. So there's times that I didn't play my best, but I got support from my running game or from my defense when we beat Arkansas 18-16, and I didn't play worth a crap. The defense showed up, So that's the complementary football piece. That some days, hey, there was always one game that Miami defense struggled, and God dang it, we got to have to put up 30 to 40 points to win this game. And now let's go. And right now, that just doesn't happen. It seems like this game was almost a repeat of what we've seen over the last, gosh, it feels like 10 years. Like we should totally take care of this team. And all of a sudden, why are they beating us? Well, because they're executing and Miami's not on all phases. And so I think, quarterback always gets more praise and always too much blame. But at the end of the day, he's got to do his job. And if that's, to, put the ball around to different receivers and put them in a position, get it, check out of plays to get them in the right run play. He's got to do that. If he's not, then they got to make that tough decision and go with somebody that is going to be able to do that for him. But at the same time, if the offense is struggling, defense, you got to strap it up and play a little bit better for us.
Hey, Steve, before we let you go, we want to thank you for coming on. We know you had some things to do tonight, but we appreciate you finding the time to hide in the chapel. But the last question I want to ask you before you see, there you go. And that's I can't curse now. The last thing I want to ask you before you go, coming into 87, what was the thought process? Since we're celebrating the night, you're coming down, right?
Yes.
I'll see you this weekend.
Saturday afternoon.
Okay. What was that? And we're celebrating the 1987 national championship.
Yeah.
So for you fans out there that don't know, because we don't do a good job of putting it out there, but that's neither here nor there. What was the thought process going into 1987?
So, replacing Vinny, replacing, Jerome Brown on defense, Alonzo Highsmith on offense, some really good offensive linemen, which Miami wasn't blessed with really, a stockload of offensive linemen, at that point. We had guys that, pluggers and did their job, but, nobody was getting drafted high. Anyways, long story short is there was a lot of new faces in the defense and in the offense. Defensively though, we had some guys that we could lean on. You had Benny Blades, you had Danny Stubbs, George Myra was going to step in at linebacker, and we knew that he was a solid player. So we had a lot of things defensively. We were in pretty good shape. We were stacked. Offensively was going to be the key, and could I move the ball around to the playmakers that we had? You had Michael Irvin, Brian Blades in the backfield, and then Brett Perryman. And Brett was, at the time was kind of neck and neck with Michael and Brian as far as being the best of that three. Mm-hmm. And then he broke his foot. And quite honestly, that was probably a blessing for us because it was one less weapon. And because Brett was a really talented receiver. And so then that kind of left it Brian and Michael on the outside, and Alfredo Roberts, Charles Henry as tight end, and Melvin and Warren Williams. Every one of those guys played in the NFL.
Wow.
And they were good players. Yeah. And then our line was just gritty, tough guys. So the plan was, all right, listen, protect the football. Let's make sure we play good defense, which we knew we were gonna. And if we have to, let this young quarterback kind of get into his own rhythm and find his confidence early on in the season, which was going to be a challenging schedule, playing Florida right out the gate, and then going to Arkansas. And so, going into the Florida game, I played well enough, and we made plays, and we won very handily. And that was kind of like, okay, I can do this. And then when we went to play Arkansas, that's kind of when I felt like I put the flag in the ground and said, okay, this is my position. And that's when I think I won the team over. And like in anything, if you believe in that guy, they're going to fight their butt off. Right. And that's what they did. And then the offense started believing, and then it just got to roll. And then we were sluggish. We barely beat Toledo that year. Yeah. Barely beat Virginia Tech. And then Virginia Tech wasn't the Virginia Tech that we all know them as right. Not a very good team. And we just kept, doing enough to win. So, but there was a lot of question marks. Mainly, I had the biggest question mark on my back, and I had great support. I had great coaching, and they were able to do the things that I did well. And that's a sign of great coaching.
Well, thank you so much, Steve, man. And I will see you this weekend. We will, we'll have some Coca-Cola.
Yeah, there you go.
And we'll have some fun, and we'll reminisce, and I'll tell that story about you telling me to get out of there.
All right.
All right, man. All right. Love you, bro. Love you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a
lot, man.
Thank you, Steve. Good seeing you again.
Thank you, guys.
The great Steve Walsh.
You know,
I mean,
Man, I didn't mean. I wasn't trying to like
Gary,
get
I
all
was
long-winded
waiting
and load him up there, but I wanted to get his opinion on that stuff, man. He is
you
like
were pretty long-winded there, Gary. You lost me halfway through the question.
But think about it. I mean, there is nothing that is the same for Tyler Van Dyke now in October of 2022 as it was in November of 2021. Like nothing.
Right.
Like the whole world's different.
I was waiting for you to talk about last year when Jake got hurt, and at that time the majority thought he was better. You thought he was better, and now here we are a year later. But that doesn't mean he's not better. He could still be better.
Well, here's what happened, Bruce. They were like you.
I know what happened.
Well, Jake, Tyler's this quiet guy who just kind of was out there. Jake is like Broadway Joe Namath. Okay,
Right.
Jake has all kinds of personality. They love, he's loved by everybody. Magnetic, person, the whole thing. And when you're watching this, what I've said consistently is if you took a poll of everybody in the organization, and who's the future quarterback at Miami, I think about 75% at least would have said Jake Garcia. Now, they started out platooning. Tyler started that Southern Connecticut State game. Jake came in. They were going back. Jake gets hurt.
That's right.
It's a moot point, LT.
That's right.
And then Tyler, to his credit, it was like turning on a switch.
That's right.
And he took the ball and he ran with it.
He sure did.
And he was a very high level quarterback last year.
That's right. That's right. Game slowed down for him. Game slowed down for him. And so when the game slows down for you, you're in complete control. You're in command. Now, I bet that game's going fast as shit because it don't look like he ain't controlling nothing right now. It's not like you don't see the flashes of. Last year he made some throws, man. This year it's inconsistency, throwing the ball into the ground, throwing it over the heads, and obviously it does go back to having the comfort level with the guys that you're throwing the football to. If you're not comfortable, you don't know where they're going to be. You're kind of just throwing it out there and praying and hoping.
Praying they're in the right spot.
These guys, the worst thing that can happen if you run a route and the quarterback throws it to you and you fall down. That's horrible for a quarterback. That's a killer because now that quarterback's saying, yo, bro, put some new shoes on. Or now he might even be saying, it doesn't matter if you put shoes on now, I'm not throwing it to you again.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things. You got to have confidence in those guys.
And like Steve Walsh Steve Walsh just said he had Gary Stevens. And Gary Stevens said, we've got Cleveland Gary. We've got Rob Chudzinski to carry this show while those receivers, got their act together.
It goes back to winning the games inside out. Basically, taking what you're given until those guys on the outside become mature enough to be playmakers.
Yeah.
You give them opportunity here and there, but really you're concentrating. And I remember watching those games. Cleveland Gary caught a lot of footballs.
He was a great receiver.
And tight ends.
So was Williams.
Those guys caught a lot of footballs. And you look at the little thing that Melvin, you look at the year when I was a freshman. DeAndre Brown, he was unproven. He came in a 5-star, one of the highest recruited guys. It took him a long time to play. Okay, by the time he got a chance to play, he was ready. Okay, it's what guys don't want to hear now. They want ready-made guys. Nobody wants to develop kids anymore through redshirting and working their way up, getting stronger, and all these things that by the time you're a junior or senior, you're more prepared. Everybody wants to play early, which they got high school bodies. They're not ready for, to play against. Hell, you can't even play against Middle Tennessee State. Hell, every time someone makes a tackle or someone makes a play, what's the thing that they say? Tackled by Jonathan Jones, who transferred from Tennessee. I mean, you watch a game. I bet you if you're watching this game right now, we got the SMU UCF game on up in here. I guarantee if that volume was on 50% or maybe 60% of the time when a kid makes a play and he transferred from Florida. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, those guys have got developed somewhere else. Now they come in with bigger, stronger, better bodies. They're ready to play the game at a high level, and they're just hoping that they get their shot, and they're getting their shots.
Any validity to this, LT and Gary?
Mm-hmm.
So no more Rambo. Harley's gone. Restrepo's out. Jake Garcia's receivers last year with the second team are now the starters. Maybe there's a better connection with him and those guys than TVD and those guys. Nobody thinks like that, but I do. Maybe he knows those guys better. That's why he looked a little better a couple of weeks ago. But I don't know the answer, but I think that's got to be a part of it. TVD doesn't know these guys. He didn't practice with these guys for the most part.
Well, I know one thing, LT. He could use some Melvin Bratton.
Oh, yeah, man.
I'll tell you, we could use some Melvin Bratton on the field this weekend against North Carolina.
Black Santa Claus. Hey, how you doing? Ho, ho, ho.
What up, fellas? hey, Gary, let me start some shit right now. Don't you ever disrespect me. I'm in the green room waiting to get on. How about Steve Walsh had Cleveland Gary? Listen, I birthed Steve Walsh, goddammit. You know what I'm saying? Don't you ever in your life disrespect me while I'm on. Wait till I get off and then you can talk.
He was just on the show. He was just with us.
He was talking about that. He was talking about how
Steve Walsh
was on. And he told a story about the fact that you were not a great blocker, and Joe Brodsky would get on you about not being a great blocker, not a good blocker, a great blocker. So they said, okay. Steve said, okay, here's what we're gonna do.
You tell that damn Walsh. When Walsh coming to town? Saturday?
He said
he said, Melvin, you make believe you're blocking somebody and then slip off to the side.
You know why? You know why? Because him and Mike Irvin had a freaking pat. Okay, so Mike Irvin, listen, his ass didn't tell y'all that story. Mike Irvin went to fucking Minnesota and he spent the whole week with that, and then he went to church with the Catholic people. Mike Irvin, black as he is, he's nowhere near Catholic. He's getting on his knees and getting up, amen. On his knees, getting up, amen. Come on, Mike don't even know nothing about getting on his knees unless he had a strip club. So he goes out there with Steve and spent a whole week with this dude. So I was wondering, I swear to you, Lamar, every snap, she walked back, Steve waiting on Mike to come out his breaks. And I'm sitting there like, what the? So what I did was, after a while, I saw an article saying by the third week, Mike would lead the nation, which I was happy for Mike. Mike lead the nation in receiving yards, and he damn near Heisman. So I'm looking, I read this article for the game, the bond between, what y'all just talked about, Van Dyke and those guys, the bond, is very important. It really is. So I saw where them two had been working out in Minnesota together. He went and stayed at Steve Walsh's house. Mike, I was like, you don't know your way how to spell Minnesota. How the hell you end up in Minnesota? So listen, so what I did was, the smart person I am, I had Testaverde, Kozar. So Steve, everybody was nervous about Steve, but Steve went in there and did his work. He kicked butt. I would block the guy and let him beat me inside and push him towards Steve. So as Steve waiting on Mike, he had to get rid of it. So he turns and dropped the ball off to me. That's how I got my catches.
He said it. He basically said it. He said that you couldn't block Danny Stubbs, and so Gary got pissed off. And so you and Steve said, okay, here's the deal. I'm gonna hit him, and you look at Mike. If Mike ain't open, you just dump it to me. And so, I mean, the other team got to be smart enough to say, okay, he's throwing it to Mike Irvin, so we're gonna roll up the coverage or whatever. And boop, he throw it to you. And with you, he said with Melvin Bratton and his shoulders turned toward the line of scrimmage, he had that wiggle. It was like stealing. That's what he said.
So listen, first off, let's get some clarity. I'm too handsome to block. All right. First off, I don't listen. This face right here is still the same from back in the 80s, bro. I'm not gonna put my head up in there and bang and teeth missing and all that concussion shit that's going on right now. So I was smarter than all those dudes. Okay. So you tell Steve, well, I'll see Steve on Saturday.
Who am I? I'm Melvin Bratton, my white beard.
So you want to go there?
Hey, listen, I didn't recognize you, Melvin, seriously, because every time I see you on Facebook and I see you on Instagram, you're decked to the nines, man. This guy is an
dressed
incredible dresser. So when I see you now, I go, who the hell is that? Because I see when I comment all the time. You know,
do.
He's one of those older.
I comment to Melvin all the time.
He's one of those older black male models that do
they call them silver foxes.
The silver foxes. He does the empathy commercials, you know, for like, you know,
but even with his family, he just looks great, you know. And I see him dressed like he looks like Monk, but black.
I love you guys, man. Y'all just talk about me in my face. I love it. Yeah. So
tell us about the 1987 team. That's what we wanted you on the show to tell us about everything that, you know, coming into that season that you really think that y'all had the opportunity after coming out the 86 season. Tell us a little bit about that.
Honestly, I did not think personally, and I'm a big thinker, that team. I know it's funny because I was looking at something when Rick Rumbert had sent out emails about the team that as far as the 87, and I saw 12-0. I'm like, who the hell went 12-0? You know what I'm saying? Like that. So I'm like 12-0, and it hit me. I was brushing my teeth and saying, damn, that 12-0, we didn't lose a game. So it hit me at that time, like, man, I didn't realize what history we made. If you'd have told us going into that game after the Penn State team, you know, with Jerome Brown, Winston Moss, Alonzo Hosman, Greg Riccozzi, Vinny Testaverde, I mean, you name it, that team was stacked. So there's no way the 86 team that coming back off their loss to Penn State, anybody would have, if I was a gambler, could have went to Vegas and made it, I'd have been retired right now. Because, I mean, we'd have put a whole crap load of money on us to win the championship. I didn't see that. Right. Everybody, so since Steve want to throw shade, everybody was scared of his skinny, bony ass going.
He said that. He said that.
And then he went and got on muscle milk and came back like almost 250 pounds.
He said muscle milk.
Yeah, he came back all yoked up. We looking like, bro, where you been? You know what I'm saying? What gym you went to? You know what I'm saying? Goals? You was at Goals all every night? So he came back on it. So he worked his behind off, and he came because the spring it was still suspect. You know, because Steve was he was getting to know the guys. He didn't know some of the balls would flutter, some would drop. But when I tell you game time, I tell people right now today, they ask me who is the best quarterback, you know what I'm saying, that you play with. I had an athletic quarterback with Testaverde. I had a brainiac with Kozar, but I had Steve also brainiac, but he knew where to put the ball. He knew he used what he had. He's a field general. He's the modern day quarterback today, and I love him. He's like a brother, and he stayed cool, calm, and collected in the pocket. And when that kid got that confidence, and I'm looking like, oh crap, okay, we could do this. So now, me being one of the team leaders on the team, you know, going into that whole entire year, everybody had bought into it. Like, okay, let's keep this thing going. Let's keep it going. We didn't know, I mean, that this was a national championship team because we had a lot of replacements. We had you got to plug and play a lot of different guys. So we got to that championship game. That's when I stood in front of the team. I said, listen, if we got to give anything a part of our body to win this game, I'm willing to do it. So you got to be careful what the hell you're speaking to your existence too. So I said that and I meant that. And I remember Kevin Harris on the 30 for 30, he had brought that up. And I said, damn, I did say that. Why I say some dumb shit like that? But you know, the thing is, we wanted it so bad for Jimmy to have his first championship. He was so close. And he's just such a great dude. We wanted, you know what I'm saying, we wanted the stiff hair guy to really, you know what I'm saying, to flex his wings to go back and show Barry Switzer, like, look, you was kicking my ass at Oklahoma State. Bro, I have arrived. I got some goons with me, and that's why that book Swag is coming out, because Jimmy ain't know shit about swag until he got there, and I'll tell him that on Friday. And so he picked up the swag because he knew that the guys that he put on and put together and the coaching staff, we had the swag, and he allowed us to play. A game like Middle Tennessee is a trap game. That's the week that Jimmy would go off. Listen, when I say he would cuss us, because he knew we'd get comfortable, and he didn't want those trap games to catch us. You know what I'm saying, like that. So Toledo, right? Those type games right there are very key. What'd you say?
A close game, man.
It was, but see,
it was like 24-14 or something like that.
We was trying to go to the club, bro. We was Toledo, bro. We was looking at the chicks in the stands, saying, "Yo, meet us at the Inferno or Big Daddy's or 8600." So we wasn't stud Toledo, man. So But that trap game right there, really, really, you know what I'm saying, you got to be careful on.
Oh my God.
24-14, that game
true.
was.
Yeah, I was
True.
there. That was horrible. But
Yeah.
they won.
It's like it was hot out there too.
It sounds like you guys had made a bet on that game. Both of y'all still mad about that, huh?
I took Toledo plus 11.
See?
Melvin, have you been watching this year's team?
No.
Yes.
What do you give us your thoughts?
Well, honestly, I know it's going to be a rebuilding year, you know what I'm saying, because, you know, this, and not killing these kids, but, you know what I'm saying, the thing is, let's go back. Watching spring, which they allowed all of us to come back, me as being an agent and seeing, you know what I'm saying, myself and Robert Bailey, you know what I'm saying, this prayers up for Robert,
by the way,
family.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I said prayers up to Robert and his family and his homegrown, his daughter. We lift him up in prayer, keep him, you know, prayed up. But to see us come back, I saw a different team because last year I wouldn't even watch. People be texting me, my phone going crazy. I wouldn't even watch the game. I'm out. I'd be out with my daughter and my son. I have daddy daycare weekend. I wouldn't even watch it the last year because it was disgusting. But this year, I saw in the spring, it was a more of an urgency. It's more that guys care and just the enthusiasm. I said this the other day. I was talking to Talbert, and I went by the U. I went in there and kind of encouraged you guys after that week. And I was talking to Lonzo. I went and sat in his office and put my foot on his desk and took a picture. And also I did it at Mike Rump's office. And so Roland Smith and so I went and talked to the guys. One of the things I look at this team, everybody says it's not talented, it's not this and not that. Listen, if you're a human, if you got any blood, any pulse in your body, you got to want it internally. All right. And Lamar knows that, you know what I'm saying, as far as you will want the ball, you want it. But what I did not see, that I was disappointed, that nobody stepped up to really check the other side of the ball. The defense was scoring and let them run down the field. Dude, when they come off that field, we're going to Jerome Brown. We're going to those guys, to Selwyn Brown and Mike Irvin. I mean, the defense guy, Bain and Fullerton. We're checking them like, what the F? And vice versa. But nobody on the sideline sat there like they at a funeral and they just didn't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was, no enthusiasm, nothing. So that part right there, I don't know, that's the old regime of they used to. They went back to some of the old ways, but you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? It's something about that pride of the you, just not just for the you, for yourself personally. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have a urgency, and you gotta really want it and compete. There's no way a guy would knock the shit out of me, and then, you know, saying I'm trying to help a guy up, saying whatever. No, that's out. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. This is not the answer, but you guys need to be back on the sidelines. That's just crap. You guys need to be out there. To let these guys know we're watching this crap and this better stop, because no one's there. There's nobody helping these guys.
Well, I think there's two, Melvin.
Don't say that. Don't call my full name. That sounds like a fucking plant.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? Mel B. I'm a spice dude. I'm a spice dude. No.
It's not Ghost anymore?
Mel B.
Okay.
Spice boy.
Okay, you got that on the back of your shirt too? Okay, anyway. I think the difference is we respected you guys because we knew you. We studied the game. We knew of you, and we knew everything about you. These guys don't know us. We've been so far removed. Our names might be on the wall. They don't know who we are. I mean, hell, we didn't have YouTube back then, so they only know guys that, you know, that just played recently. So there's not the true respect that we have for you guys. And because you guys we knew you and we idolized you guys and we looked up you guys would say whatever you wanted to us, and it didn't offend us.
Right.
These guys, man, you know how much I make in my NIL? Oh, that gray beard dude said that to me.
Right.
You know,
no, you're right. No, listen, I'm going to cut you off. Do you remember I called you? Y'all had lost the game, and I don't know if it was Orange Bowl or sometime. Me, Mike, all of us, we down there broke our fingers calling your phone. I called you, and I MF'd the heck out of you for 30 minutes. I said, if you don't get this shit together and y'all ever go out and play like that, don't compete, we come to see you. We held you responsible because we passed the throne. We gave you the torch. So you, Lamar Thomas, number 36, narrow ass, skinny. You so skinny you could hula hoop on a Cheerio, and tap dance on a now later. That's how narrow your ass was. But we passed it on to you, and we held you accountable. And then guess what you did? You didn't want to get them calls no more. You would nut up, and you would make a play. You make several plays.
I went back to the facility the next day, and I explained to some of those guys about the call I got, and some of them said, "Man, I got the same call, man. They cussed me out for 2 hours, man." But that was it. We respected you guys and what you had built. You know, you built that. You know, I stole the old helmet thing from you. You know, you were the guy that took your helmet off, and I just took it to a whole nother level because I was prettier. You know what I mean? So,
Here comes.
you know, it's just the way it was. But these guys, again, they don't really care about us. They're in a whole different. I mean, they what they saw as a guy like Rambo, who had one of the greatest years as a receiver in University of Miami history, not even get drafted.
But that's part of the staff. The staff is not, and implementing that. And it should be. I told Alonzo before he got a job, I said we don't want to be the bad guys all the time, but have an education part. Show the birth, of how this program and the reason why you are here. If these kids would not come to Miami, if we didn't have national championship, we were still in the Nick Saban days and Lou Saban days, and before Snellenberger took over. If we was back then, because Miami was crap in '83. When I came in '82, I was like, I didn't know nobody on the team. I didn't even know Jim Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Until somebody had mentioned Speedy Neal, Albert Bentley, and Keith Griffin. And I was like, damn, those are running backs? And I'm right down the street. So it wasn't sexy going to Miami back then. So when we decided to change the culture, we implemented that. So the reason why these histories of all these guys going to the pros, and we just can't take the '83 class or whatever. We had guys like Julio Cortez. I mean, we had Jay Brophy. They showed us the way on how to compete, whatever. So Albert Bentley, he showed us how to block. So that's bullshit, but that blocking too, Steve. I got to talk to you about that. So we were taught by these guys on how to work, and we carried that torch because they gave it to us. So like I said, I just hope. I know Mario can't change. He's not Jesus Christ to change it overnight. But the thing is, I just compete. We cannot. And guess what? North Carolina is coming to town, and they have our number. They feel like that's their home team. When that kid, that running back, I don't know that kid, when he said some crap on that Instagram, that I did see that. That pissed me off. Like I came up in y'all house and wrecked y'all or murked y'all, whatever. He said something crazy. I never forgot that. That was embarrassing for any player to be in our locker room on the guest side and to make that kind of that statement.
It just seems to me, guys, that that chip that you used to have that lasted for 20 or 30 years and that us against the world mentality is gone. It just doesn't seem to be there.
Because the coaches want to suppress this. Like you said, Gary, one of y'all mentioned, Bruce, that being on the sidelines. Listen, Lamar, I'll tell you, he had a play where he couldn't get off the jam, and Eddie Brown and Nat Morris stand on the sideline. Tell them that what they told you, and you scored a winning touchdown against Florida State.
Basically, the guy, Clifton Abraham, he was doing a good job that game. But I asked him, I said, man, this is what he's doing. What can I do? And they gave me like a little couple pointers. And, man, I got that shot, and I used everything they said, and I ran right by his behind. But I probably, if I don't get that little bit of tutelage, I don't know if that play happens, because he was strong, he was short, but he was strong, and I was having problems with him, and I caught him in the right coverage, and I was able to do some things to him that I never had done before. So
Gary, any follow-up to that, Gary, about the players coming? I thought they're going to allow a certain amount. Have you heard
that was the last I heard about it.
Yeah, I tell you what it is.
Going to be allowed down there.
I tell you what it is. It's you have to be Ring of Honor or All-American. So everybody else, you can go before the game.
Get in the woods.
You can go before the game. And you can be down there until the game starts, and then you have to go back up. So if you're not an All-American or Ring of Honor or a player that's playing right now, you can't be on the sideline. So,
okay, well, I disagree.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's I can't. I wasn't voted All-American, so I was a player everybody loved to hate, so I didn't get an All-American status. They gave it to Sean LaChapelle. I don't even know who the hell that is. So it is what it is.
Hey, let me ask you guys something. Since I mean, y'all follow the as strong. You guys talk about it weekly. So this quarterback situation, this is not Dallas Cowboys. You know, what I'm saying with this what's that man named Dak Prescott and another kid. So with these two guys right now, Jake Garcia was the starter that I heard you guys talking about. You know, what I'm saying Van Dyke. He got all the hype. We got a top first round pick, number 26 on certain draft boards like that to go. Right now, what if one was a step up? Say Garcia gets back in and he shuts the lights out and start running a run. Do y'all think that he'll be at SMU next year, or he gonna go to the draft?
I think you got it reverse, Mr. Bratton or Melvin Bratton or Melvin B. TVD is the starter, but if he craps out, I think he can wind up in SMU. Garcia is the guy that's on the bench chomping at the bit to get in. And unfortunately, a lot of our fans on Kane Sport are screaming he should be the starter, get rid of Van Dyke. And Mario doesn't want to throw this kid under the bus. But I do think, and I think you might agree, he's on a very short leash because he's playing at home and he already made this announcement. He doesn't really like playing in there. He likes playing on the road. The crowds are better.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing.
That.
Well, I think this weekend is it for him, Melvin. I mean, he's got, they've given him 2 weeks here very fairly, in my opinion, to get his act together. And a lot of effort is going into this game Saturday. There have been extra meetings with the coordinators, the quarterback's coach, Tyler Van Dyke. They are giving him every chance. He can't be the reason they're struggling. They have too many other reasons that they're struggling. He's the guy that's got to be the rock of the whole thing. And I think this weekend is his opportunity to be that again. And if he's not, then I think it's a whole different ball game, a clean slate, and Mario makes all that money to make the tough decisions. But I think they were right in sticking with him. He had a bad game the last game. But this is his opportunity to get it right and get a big victory this weekend and move on.
But Gary, let me say this. Damn, I was drawing a thought.
You're getting old, Melvin.
I know.
It's definitely not from blocking.
Wow, really, Lamar?
Hey, I'm on the road tonight, dog.
Yeah, you hot. Damn, you brought up a good point. I want to go chime in on it, but it'll come back to me. Go ahead, butthole finishes.
Hey, am I butthole?
No, you talking to me.
I'm talking the Oreo, the reverse Oreo guy in the middle.
Hey, Mel, we got a text here from my buddy Stephen McGuire. He says Melvin is right. Never forget. He fumbled at Florida State, and he was telling him not to forget about it. It meant a lot coming from you. So Stephen he's listening to this, and he just texted me.
That's my guy right there. I love some big back. That's my guy right there. He's the first New Yorker running back that came from New York that was worth something. Everybody else. Well, Paul Palmer, I think Paul from Philly. But Steve, man, when I tell you a dude that run downhill, and him, Donnell Bennett, I'd love to see those guys like that. I hate little backs. I'm not saying the Parrish kid, he runs big as hell to be that size. That kid, he's tough as nails, but I'm sorry we had those injuries. No, this is my point. If a team is struggling, and me, saying I'm not a coach, Lamar, you one of the greatest little league coaches there are. If a team is struggling, saying as far as saying like that, that's why you have these. We have 3 tight ends, 3, not 1, not 2. We have 3 tight ends who are game changers. The kid from South Carolina who came here, who waiting his turn, 23. We have 3 game changers. Why don't you work the inside to open up the outside? To do that. That's why Travis Kelce is so successful, and that's why the outside guys do what they do, because you can't concentrate on that. If you locking everybody in the cover 2 and you're running quarters and you shutting down your outside game and he pass rushing, the quarterback's going to struggle. That middle was wide open. Let's get some dink and dunks. Get the ball to the tight end and let them go to the house. And you will see now a lot of stuff will start opening up.
Well,
hey, Melvin, quick question. So we did just really have Steve Walsh on the show before you came on, and he reflected back on the 1988 game against Arkansas, and he said he admitted he played terrible that game, and Miami only won 18-16, and the defense stepped up and saved the day. You know, that's what Miami was about. If the quarterback had a bad day or the receivers weren't getting open or something was going wrong, there was another segment of the football team that would step up and preclude any problems.
And I tell you this, Gary, it came with a lot of cussing out too, because as they were going on the field, if we weren't doing our job, boy, it was some
They gonna
words.
say,
It was some
boy.
words that were used on the passing.
Yes,
man, you had to tighten up. Hey, bro,
bro.
man?
Right,
hey,
that's
a lot
right.
of words being passed.
Was this guy Hamlet? Was Hamlet doing all the cussing?
No.
Hambone. What's up?
What's going on?
See, look. Ham got the great game. The great game. What think about dog?
Hey,
this is sexy. Don't the women love this? The women.
Great game.
Listen, the women love this, dog. Listen to me. When I tell you, I'm walking out. I lost weight. I'm walking bow-legged again. Ain't got the beard, bro. It's a wrap, bro.
That's funny.
They say you walking bow-legged and pigeon-toe. I don't understand how that happened.
Ham, what's going on, brother?
Beauty of these guys, they put each other down. It's great being around these guys. You know, when I'm with these guys all the time, it's just one put down after the next. It's incredible.
Hambone, man, my
man.
Hambone.
Guys, how you doing?
You doing all right?
Listen, I'm blessed and highly favored, brother. I can't complain. How you doing?
I know.
Listen, I know you're doing good, and kudos, congratulations to you for your new position.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Long time coming, brother.
I wanted to ask you about the 87 team, but first I want to ask you, how the hell did you get into being a superintendent, man? That's like of the Pittsburgh. How did that happen? I just want to like that.
Hey, hold on. That's an insult. That's an insult because he's too smart for us. Because we got to keep guys. Y'all don't take this as negative. We need like 5 guys with 1.99 grade average on every team. And because the guys who can't go home, think about the guys who stay in the dorm that can't go home. Because
but I saw Hamlet going to class a lot. I remember Hamlet always having a tablet with him. I saw him walking to class a lot. And I knew you were going to be somebody smart.
Listen, I wasn't going to let Coach Johnson walk up into a building 36 and catch me in the bed and know exactly what he's supposed to be and what class he's supposed to be in, because they will do it.
Because he did.
I wasn't going to be the one. Hey, Breakfast Club was not for me.
Woo!
No.
Hey,
man,
Lamar, I can tell you how he got the job up there. They didn't ask me for a recommendation letter, because otherwise,
right. Listen, you'll probably say, "Hey, wait a minute. This guy came to my house."
Are you gonna tell him that story?
Pat Riley and all those guys. We got stopped, pulled over by the Pine Island police.
Oh yeah, he told
it was Hambone and his girlfriend. He was dressed in a suit. She had a dress, and it was Big Patrick Riley and the girl. Oh, just think of it. They're at my house at like 12:30 in Rock Creek, Gary. At my house like 12:30 to 1:32 in the morning. I don't know what we did. Then they left. About 5 minutes later, my phone rings. Is this Bruce Warner? Yeah, why? You got to come out here. This is Officer so-and-so. For what? Well, there's a guy here that says he was at your house. We caught them driving around in Rock Creek, scouting out houses, scoping houses. I said, yeah, but this is me. He was at my house. So he said, that's not good enough. You got to come out. So I had to drive all the way out, like 2 o'clock in the morning. I get there at the corner of Hiatus and Sheridan, Gary, and I see Big Pat and Hambone and the 2 women with their hands on top of the car.
Oh,
so I knew,
God.
and guess what color the officer was? White. So I walked up to the officer and said,
we had to guess that?
This is PWB. You know that, don't you? And he says, well, we caught them. I said, bullshit. You didn't catch them doing it. They were at my house. You don't look at how they look. You think 4 people are going to get dressed up like this to go scout houses in Rock Creek? Are you nuts? I want your badge number and your name, right?
Yeah, it was crazy.
What I really wanted to say was to the guy, I never saw him in my life. But I know Hambone wouldn't have done anything, but I was worried about Pat Riley.
Yeah. Oh, Pat would have went off. I had to calm him down.
That was a funny story.
Said,
but anyway, it's great.
They do not know who you are. Calm down. We'll be all right.
Again, back to I'm still amazed that I remember going to was it Palm Beach? What's the high school you were at? Palm Beach Lakes. Palm Beach Lakes. I was recruiting, and I was so proud of you. You was the principal. I mean, it was just you was in control. Hold on, I need a room call down here. You was doing all the guys. I said, look at my boy Hambone. And then a couple years later, when I moved away, I see that you went on to be the superintendent of the Pittsburgh public schools. Was that
Yeah.
it? Was that, man? That's a great honor. I mean, what made you decide to go after superintendent after being a principal for so long?
But real quick, you got to go back and ask the question: why did I decide to go into education? Because I can tell you,
go.
Growing up, I never wanted to be a teacher, but I wanted to work with kids. I saw myself as being a guidance counselor, a social worker, a behavior specialist. So I want to be around children. And so after playing, getting kicked around NFL, getting cut about 2 or 3 times, I come back. I find myself, I still want to be around football. And my mentor said, hey, why don't you come be a substitute teacher at this alternative education school? And so they kind of married, my behavior specialist type work, working with kids, and also brought me back to football, start coaching as well. And so that's how I got into education. And so to answer your question, and people ask me sometimes, why education? Why'd you get into education? Sometimes it chooses you, you don't choose it. And so based on that, in my, adults gravitate toward athletes. And so my stint in public education, I was able to deal with all kids, high performing kids, low performing kids, special education kids, behavior kids. They gravitated toward athletes. And also the way I treat them was with respect. Young black man coming out of the University of Miami, play football, etc. That really inspired them to say, you know what, I can do it too. And then developing those relationships. And real quick, I heard you guys talking about what's going on in Miami. And some of you alluded to this. It's about culture. It's about culture. You got to understand what that culture is. And you might not have the same culture as we had in the past, but you have the same passion and you have the same mission and vision. The culture may be different, but ultimately it's a culture of winning and supporting each other. And as Melvin said, holding each other accountable. They held us accountable. Absolutely.
You guys held yourselves accountable. You didn't necessarily need somebody from the outside to do it. You did it on your own.
Yeah.
You policed your own team.
Yep.
That's that brotherhood, though, Bruce.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We if you look to the right or to the left, we feel like we let our guys, our best friends down. We were best friends, all of us. You know what I'm saying? So no matter where you come from, and I was just me and Greg Mark did the show the other night. We didn't see color. We didn't care if you're white, black, Puerto Rican, Jew, whatever. We were. It wasn't about color. It wasn't about nothing. We had a brotherhood, and it's a different feeling. And I get emotional when I tell guys, y'all don't understand that we was in the trenches with each other. I mean, we fought together. We fought each other every day of practice. I mean, we stayed at each other's neck. And it carried over to Lamar them. It carried over to the 2001 class. Because now Mike Rump is hearing stories from Roland Smith and Lonzo how they thought they recreated the whole vibe of Miami. When Rump told me, he said, man, all the stuff that y'all did, we thought we created it. He said that to me. I'm like, no bro. But he didn't know, you know what I'm saying? But now it's fact.
Hey guys, I have a question. So Mario's obviously trying to change the culture. Okay, we all know there's been culture problems there for a long time. How long does it take to change the culture? Like, it's not like just snapping your fingers, right? Like, how long is it going to take to do that?
Let me take that. That's the other point I was going to bring up. Look at Jimmy Johnson's first year. We lost to Maryland 31-0 at halftime. You know what I'm saying? We was up 31 points. We lost. And then the next week was a hell Flutie game. And people don't realize, back to back, we had 2 devastating losses. Then we went to UCLA the last game. That was a 5th game that we dropped. You know what I'm saying? 37-36 or whatever it was. So we was 8-5. So guess what? The next year, I'm not saying that's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But Jimmy got comfortable with the whole deal. Let Mario get comfortable. He's weeding out. He's grading everybody from the coaching staff down to the ball boys to everything. He has to clean this whole deal up. He has some work on his hands. You know what I'm saying? The facilities, he wanted more. So all this stuff is now coming to a fruition. When you walk into a Alabama and you walk into Oregon with Phil Knight, got all this electronics and all this Nike stuff, whatever. It's a different culture. So he's actually bringing two knowledgeable, well-known facilities and staffs and coaches, and just how they do it that way. He's incorporating that now. So once you do that, we're gonna sign. I don't know if you guys saw that, where these kids say these top players that committed, they all took a picture. They said, we are still coming to Miami no matter what.
Yes.
We're coming. You got to want to be a Hurricane, and that's the problem. The guys who don't want. I remember I had Derek Brown as one of my hosts. I hosted Derek Brown. They gave me the top players. Derek Brown played tight end for Merritt Island with Bubba and Hurley. And Coach Axe, Alexander, came to me one night. He gave me the money, to go to take him out. The next morning, I went to Coach Axe. He called me, said, "How did it go?" I said, "It was between us and Notre Dame." And this is the God's honest truth. I said, "Let his ass go to Notre Dame. He don't fit us." I said, he's a different breed. And matter of fact, here's the money back from the weekend. Matter of fact, give it to him. Find somebody else to take his ass out because he's not a Cane. We judge eternally on who fits us. There's a job interview. You had to pass that test for us. If you didn't pass that test, use a different breed. Shit, go. We want you to go somewhere else because you don't fit us.
Right.
Hey, Melvin, that story was very believable until you talk about giving the money back. I know better than that.
I did, bro. Listen, Lamar, we didn't pay for nothing in Dade
Yeah,
County, bro.
I know, but still, bro, you ain't gonna get that man gas money back.
I did, but it wasn't $40, dog. Come on,
right?
Yeah.
When I was with Leon about 3 weeks ago at a book signing, and Leon told me, and I said this last week, but you guys haven't heard it. He talked to Mario in the spring or after spring, and he said, "These guys don't know how to work." He was mortified. He said it to him. They don't know how to work. He's teaching them how to work. That was sad because they didn't do much when the other coach was here. So you're talking about starting.
Bring back the 16-110. Bring back the 16-110.
So Anthony, Dr. Hamlet, you were in '87. What year were you?
I was a redshirt freshman.
Okay, you were a redshirt freshman.
What
was your thoughts going into '80s that season? We've heard from Steve Walsh, who ended up being the starting quarterback, and of course the great Melvin "Ghost" Bratton.
Number one, I knew I was coming to Miami my whole senior year. I knew I was coming to Miami, especially after that first game. They played that '86 year. Now, don't go off of me now, right? I was kind of a Gators fan, right? Miami went to play Florida. That first game in '86, whooped they ASS.
Melvin got
next Monday. Jimmy Johnson and Bush Davis come to my school, offer me a scholarship. I'm coming. I'm a Hurricane. I'm coming. Let's go. So from that time on, I knew I was going to be a Hurricane. What was the question you asked me again now?
What was your thought process about that '87? When you were a freshman, what was your whole thing?
Listen, I was already pissed off that my boys lost in the Fiesta Bowl. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Right?
Yeah.
So I knew, talking to the guys, going on my recruiting trip. Big Rocco took me out. Rod Carter took me out, hanging out in Inferno. Hey, listen, I'm coming. Let's do it. And so just listen to those guys going in as a freshman, seeing them work, their work ethic, how they pushed each other.
Wasn't it a thing of? I mean, wasn't it awesome? I mean, because I know when I was a freshman to watch them guys work, I was like, dang. And so what it's all about.
Work. But also, as I'm on the scout team, I'm pushing them getting better as well, going against those guys, right? And again, we already talked about how many guys got drafted. And so I'm honing my skills, Matt Patchen, Mike Sullivan, John O'Neill, Proven, going against those guys.
Rod Holder.
Going at it nonstop, 100%. And they used to say, man, calm down, freshman. No, we going at it because I need to make sure you're ready for the game. And so that's how I got better. That's how we got better as freshmen and understood the culture coming in and what we had to look forward to, but also what we had to uphold. Right
now, did you come in as a linebacker or?
I came in as a linebacker. Look, Lamar, you might have been as big as me when I first came in. Listen, I was 6'3", 180 pounds soaking wet.
Real narrow.
180 pounds soaking wet. But
like, you know what? You had a motor. You had a motor though. You had a
like
motor.
Melvin, I ran track in high school and I ran high hurdles. And so that's how I really got noticed on the track. Like, okay, this guy's a linebacker. He out there running, the hurdles and whatnot, doing all this. Good, great athlete in the classroom, good kid. So, and back then Miami looked at athletes. And so not going off to another place, but guys, they need to play different sports. And it's like They never did before. This one sport thing you doing all year. Hey,
7 on 7, 7 on 7.
We ran track, basketball, football. Someone played baseball. You know, and just it made you a more well-rounded athlete. To me, that's in my opinion.
Facts.
Melvin, you played a lot of sports too, didn't you?
No, just two. I hated track, but I excelled in it. Won the state championship twice, and should have won it 3. I pulled my hamstring, but I did it because I didn't want to go to spring practice. You know what I'm saying? And then all the coaches, all the track coaches would come and be talking to me. I'm looking like, bro, when this shit over, I am not running no more nowhere. So I'm not going to school to double track. No, I hated track.
There was a rumor that you wanted to play water polo because of the shorts.
That's
at
funny.
Northwestern. But I ain't
so listen. I see you bringing back those hoochie daddy shorts. Those are the Daisy Dukes are tucked in your between your butt. You know what I'm saying? So I saw you on the video walking kind of fast.
Hey man, listen. So Hamlet, you gonna be down there Saturday? Or y'all got something?
I'll be on Friday night.
Is it something going on Friday night? Nobody.
I don't know. I got to find out. I got to make the phone call.
I mean, I know I wasn't on the 8-17, but I want to hang out.
But you can't. It's locked. We got 175. This is the biggest turnout far as reunion in the history. Rick River and Jessica has done a great job, and they are shutting it down. It's 175 guests on Friday night. That's with Jimmy Johnson, whatever. They said they've never had. They had to move it to the what's that? The Wasco Center. What's the basketball?
That's where it's gonna be at.
They moved it. They had to move it. Listen, they got security, bro. So you bring your black butt there if you want to.
I'm coming down there with Gino. I'm coming down there with Gino.
Hey, listen. Gino can't listen. You got to call Bruce to come out of his house and save your ass again, like he did Hamlet and Pat Riley.
They don't have me hemmed up on the gate.
Well, hey man, Lord. Hey guys, thank you so much. Hey, thank you so much for coming on tonight, man. And we're gonna let y'all two go. I know Melvin, we appreciate you taking the time. You supposed to be at a basketball game. Obviously, you didn't get the right tickets. They probably was fake. But Dr. Hambone, we appreciate. We will see you on.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad that you did not call me by my nickname that y'all gave me back then. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
What is it? What was a ham? What was a ham?
I can't say it.
Oh,
thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll talk about it on Friday.
Yes, I got you.
Well, I'll see y'all on Saturday since I can't get in.
No, but listen, we're going Dale Dawkins tailgate. We're gonna be going double D. Saturday, yeah. Dale Dawkins.
Well, I'm a part of the media. I'll show up, but I won't partake in some of the things because I've already been warned about.
Man, boy, bye. Okay.
Well, all right, man. Love y'all, bro.
All right, Gary, Bruce, thanks, bro.
All right, man. We'll see you this weekend, hopefully.
All right, thanks.
All right,
okay.
All right, guys.
Take care. Hambone, call me tomorrow. Wow.
Oh my God, man. Those guys.
When these guys were around, it's just unbelievable. But
they really are. All right. We got a lot to wrap our hands around before we get out of here, but we got to take care of some business first.
All right.
LT, you're gonna have something to say in a minute, but first let's hear from our friends at Caneswear.
Welcome to Caneswear. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has all latest merchandise for the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Inter Miami Soccer, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of I-595, or online at Caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
All right, LT, what do you think, man? You're surrounded by all that greatness there tonight at Caneswear.
Right. All this greatness, all this gear. I'll be rocking this on Saturday. So I'll read my live read right here. I started off with Hurricanes football is back. Are you geared up yet? Have you been to Caneswear in Davie recently? They have the latest gear for the Miami Hurricanes and Miami Dolphins too. Caneswear is more than a store. It's an experience. They have the largest selection of Miami Hurricanes items in town. Items from Adidas, Dime Life, Flow Grown, which I'm wearing this hat, and other brands, including Team Sideline apparel and hundreds of different t-shirts, jerseys, polos, and hoodies, and hats and all. Sizes for men, kids, women, babies, and even pets. Caneswear is your tailgating headquarters. tents, chairs, tables, flags, decals, magnets, license plates, sunglasses, and tattoos. They definitely will get you ready for game days. So if you want Hurricanes gear or any South Florida Pro Team merchandise, they got you covered all season long. So get on over to Caneswear, located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie. And of course, they're always open at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot where Miami fans shop.
All right. That was awesome.
My shirt, my shorts. If they have underwear in a size 38, 36, I'll buy that too.
Damn.
I have a wallet from them too. They do sell wallets.
LT, you got your little business card?
Speaking of wallets, I never leave home without it.
Tell us about the law office of Christine Rosendahl.
Christine Rosendahl. Now, guys, I understand it's getting close to holidays and things do happen, but you might well be protected. I mean, I keep this little card right here in my wallet. Christine Rosendahl, Esquire, attorney out of South Florida. She does an excellent job. She's fair. She's very knowledgeable, and she's a bulldog. She'll get the job done. So, hey, we don't know what things are going to happen, but you want to be prepared. It's almost like keeping a condom in your wallet. You got to be prepared. Okay, guys? I keep this phone number right here.
You wish you had.
Because let me tell you something. You never know. So Christine Rosendahl, the number is down there on the bottom of the screen. It's been scrolling. Go to a website. Write it down because you never know what happens.
It's coming right now. Here it is.
Right, 561-512-6199. Christine Rosendahl. That's that Esquire PA at hotmail.com. Write it down. Might need it.
All right, Bruce. Before we let you go, we've all kinds of opinions tonight from all different places. Steve Walsh, Melvin Bratton, Anthony Hamlet. Your parting thoughts as you are sitting here now, I guess about 72 hours away from going back to Hard Rock, see if the Canes can pull together a really good game on Saturday.
Well, I expect them to play like they did at Texas A&M. They played their asses off. They played hard. To me, that is absolutely going to happen. Whether we have the right offensive game plan, I don't think you could go out there and some of these guys want to throw bombs all game long. They're talking about Lashley's offense from last year. It can't be. We got to eat up the clock. We got to move the ball. I don't care how we do it. Screens, runs, draws, all kinds of stuff. Everybody else seems to throw us off. We've got to be able to move and keep that clock going and move the chains and score touchdowns. That damn red zone's been killing us. I think we can compete with these guys, but that has to happen. If it starts out bad and the Boo Birds come out for Van Dyke, Mario's got a tough decision to make. And I agree with you. I don't think it's all his fault. I think it's a combination of everything that's transpired all across the board. Look, he played like crap 2 weeks ago. But if the defense doesn't give up 4 bombs, we're still in the game. So I think the whole team will show. I hope the offense is more prolific and they can move and score. I don't know if we have the DBs to stop their receivers. They're damn good. And that quarterback is big and strong and can move. That scares me. So if we win, it could be a shootout. But if our defense plays like they did against A&M, which is not that good, we found that out, I think it's going to be a close game. I still think Miami can win this game in the 35, 32, 35, 31 range. I just hope we don't get killed because that's going to be so ugly, going forward. We have a chance. We are 0-0 as far as I'm concerned. And if we win Saturday, that loss 2 weeks ago is forgotten as far as I see it. And then it's on to the Tech, Virginia, Duke, and whoever. We're in a great spot. We've got to win Saturday. This is the game that has to be won. Forget Florida State. Forget Clemson. This is it. That's how I think. And I think we're going to show up. I hope we win. I just don't know.
All right, Bruce. We'll see you on Saturday. And I agree with everything you said. And I'm sure LT does. So we'll see what happens, man. It's going to be interesting.
And it was great having those guys there because they're all such good people,
Yeah.
And I kid around with Hambone with that story all the time, but I really was thinking about maybe I should say I never saw him in my life, but I was afraid to say that.
Can joke like that back then, and can you today?
to Hambone, I could have because we're really tight, but I didn't know Pat Riley that well. All right, you guys, be well.
All right, Bruce.
Happy
Saturday. All right, LT. All right, so the issues, culture. You know, we heard everyone's opinions on that, and I hear the Jimmy Johnson story, 1985, but he didn't have the culture in 1984 for sure.
Yeah.
He started getting it in 85, and by 86 he really had it. So I guess for Jimmy Johnson it took a year and a half, 2 years to get the culture right. Butch, probably similar. His first few years were tough, taking over, and he had to get it right. And then when he finally got it right, things were rocking and rolling. So probably not reality that Mario's going to have the culture fixed as hard as, and he's trying hard as heck. But I assume Lamar, it's a question this week of how much they are able to get rid of the stench of Middle Tennessee State and get back to what they had at Texas A&M and go win a football game.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, it's the outside noise. It's hell. We had to get rid of the whole BYU thing. I mean, that was an embarrassing loss. I mean, we didn't know the guy Ty Detmer was that good. We didn't think too much of him, and they beat us. But it made us go back to the grind. We had to go back to the grind after that loss. It was very embarrassing, and they beat us. And we, for some reason, we didn't play well that night. They played well enough to win. So at that point, you go back, and I don't think we had a bye week in between. I think we had Cal the next week out there. So it's one of those things where you have to put in that time that it starts on Sunday. When you get back, we had to start doing our what was supposed to be a 12-minute run, probably turned into probably a 24-minute run. We had to, it was hard. It was hard. It's supposed to be hard. When you lose a game, you're supposed to win. So practices were hard. We got it back together, and we went back on a winning streak. But I can tell you this, it took a while, maybe 1 or 2 games for those fans to truly come back full capacity. So that's the way South Florida is, man. You don't expect, I wouldn't expect it to be fill that stadium. That's a big stadium. I don't expect it to be full, because now you have the naysayers that are saying, hey, they're not going to win this game, and I'm not going to waste my time spending that type of money to travel down there or up there to pay those astronomical prices for parking and also the game. So we'll wait and see. And that's just the way it is down here. You ask the Heat fans, they'll say the same thing. You'll ask the diehard Heat fans, the diehard Marlins fans. That's just the way it is, man. That's when you sign up for this, that comes along with the territory.
Signing up for it, which is a great transition to TVD. I keep hearing Steve Walsh's story. I played horrible against Arkansas, 18-16. We almost lost because of me. And I got
Steve Atwater, the Hall of Famer, dropped an interception. It hit him right in the chest. It hit him right in the chest, in the end zone. He dropped it. About a play later, we kicked the field goal to win the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that bad.
So, you fast forward that to today's environment, and Steve Walsh has to go. Steve Walsh has to be sat down. We got to bring a backup quarterback in. Steve Walsh isn't getting it done. We almost lost to Arkansas because of Steve Walsh. This is the atmosphere that TVD is walking into on Saturday at Hard Rock Stadium. It's a lot of pressure for the kid. He's got to be able to handle it and rise to the occasion and play a great ball game. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. I mean, this is he didn't help himself by a statement about not playing at home, because I'm sure he lost some fans with that statement. That's South Florida. But he has to start off fast. He has to be able to hopefully he's not going to try too hard to make plays, but just play within himself. How about calling some plays that are conducive to him starting off and feeling comfortable? Run some hitches, run some quick outs, run some screens. These things that can help him. Hell, run some bubble screens. Do the same crap that we saw last year that we were like, damn, man, that's all they running, bubble screens. Get him back to feel comfortable. I tell you who else is who is going to be looked at. This is a big game for them is Gaddis, because he has to manufacture an offense that will help this quarterback. It can't be everything that he's always run. He can't run the same stuff that he ran at Michigan. It's two different quarterbacks. So you got to figure this out. What makes this kid feel comfortable back there in the pocket, protections, all this other stuff that might come about. What is going to put him in the best situation to win the game? That's what it's all about. So it's a big game.
Set him up to succeed.
Yes. And not saying that he hasn't, but it's just more now we got to see it because, after last 2 weeks ago and, and then now the quarterback is coming out saying that, hey, we're now sitting down and talking. I mean, where has this been? I mean, I know Frank Ponce is a great coach. I know Gaddis, his track record, he won the Broyles Award. So I know they're great coaches, but where is the quarterback? Where has this talk been? Where has it been? It should have been from day one. That's your starting quarterback. You have to feel you have to call plays that gonna make him successful. If the shit don't work in practice, don't call it in the game. So your play sheet might be small, but at least it's the plays that he feels comfortable running. That's how it goes.
E. Taylor, one of our listeners, says, "Me and TVD must be lovers." Lamar, I've been hearing this a lot, and it's like, man, I don't want to see this guy, whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent. This guy is evaluated as the best talent that this university has had at this position in 3 decades. Okay, in 3 decades, and nobody's been a first-round draft pick since in all these years. And this guy a week ago, by Mel Kiper, who gets all his information from NFL GMs, was saying,
He slapped Mel Kiper.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, he gets his info from guys in the league. I mean, Mel Kiper has been around forever and has as good of connections.
He's been wrong on a lot of picks too.
Oh, you're always going to be wrong. But the point I'm making is he's got connections in the league. Yeah. He's not just making that up off the top of his head. This guy has a decent evaluation. Now, different people have different opinions, but the point I'm making, LT, is he came into the season with pretty good credentials. And for whatever reason, it hasn't been happening. And my only thing has been, like, don't blame him for what everybody else is doing. Like, he's got enough trouble right now taking a responsibility for himself. And yes, he's had bad throws and everything else. And give him a chance. Give him a chance to get it right. Now, if he can't get it right this Saturday, then we'll see. But he deserves this start on Saturday. I really believe it has nothing to do with being lovers. Trust me.
By the way, UCF is beating SMU 34-13.
Really? Yeah. Fire Rhett Lashley. What about that great offense Rhett Lashley runs?
Auburn.
Man, I wish we had that offense here this year, Lamar. We'd be scoring all kinds of points.
That's true. Quarterback felt comfortable with, but again, like I said, man, it's going to be a great test for the University of Miami. This is a great opportunity for Josh Gaddis and his quarterback to put something together, game plan together that they both feel comfortable about, and they can make some plays together. You know what I mean, and try to go off the kids' strengths. So we'll find out what they are.
You want to do a little word association before we?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not?
Right. Let's do Tyler Van Dyke. Why not?
Well, we already did it. You got to play well, man. This is an opportunity. Your back is against the wall. You've been the starting quarterback. You've had some really great games. But the one thing you got to improve upon, especially this week, you can't start off slow. Because if you start off slow, you got the boo birds and the doubters are it's gonna be hard. And hey, we've seen them come back now, but we've also seen 2 weeks ago in that same stadium. So we like for this guy to start off well and make some throws that he feels comfortable and not throw the first pass to the other team. How about that?
How about Josh Gaddis? I mean, you brought him up a minute ago. He's obviously got a lot of street cred. Won the Broyles Award. Helped Michigan get to the playoffs last year.
Been around the block.
He's been around the block a little bit. what's going on in his mind right now?
I mean, this is a big game for him too. I said it maybe like 10 minutes ago. I mean, this is a game where, his offense is going to come under fire if they're not successful. I've talked to the guy. He seems like a great guy, very knowledgeable. You just got to have the right guy back there, or you and that guy have to be on the same page. We got to have some type of success. The only way we're going to win this game is that we're going to have to score points. They have a high-powered offense. This North Carolina team, they score a lot of points. So we got to score points and able to match them. And hopefully our defense is able to get some turnovers and be able to get some stops where we win the ball game.
All right, this next one was under the radar until he walked in front of the media on Monday and took responsibility for everything going on defense, which is noble of him,
right,
and what he should do probably. But Kevin Steele,
mm-hmm.
They gave up 4 bombs, Lamar. Like I said earlier in the show, I've never seen. We've had great. I've never seen that. That's a lot, man. And like I said, we've had great receivers here at this school. I've never seen a Miami receiver do 4 bombs in one game like that.
Yeah.
What's Kevin Steele thinking going into this weekend?
Man, we got to make sure that we put these guys in the right situations. Obviously, we see that we got to know if guys can run. That's where communication from the sideline and communication from up top, they have to be on the same page. I mean, one of those touchdowns they gave up was pure communication, where I think it was number 23 was giving a signal out to another guy, and it was like a fake screen. The guy just ran straight up the field, and the outside corner didn't even look at him. But you saw him on film talking to him, and it was poor communication. They got to be on the same page in that secondary. And one of the things he also has to do is these D linemen have to maintain their integrity as far as the defense. You can't get greedy and try to go for sacks when that's not your job. Keep contained. Let the other guy, because I saw it like 2 or 3 times on the film where, if the quarterback, if the end does what he's supposed to do, the quarterback basically runs right into you. But because you decided to take 2 steps towards the quarterback, he's able to get outside of you. So these are things that obviously through coaching, these guys have been doing it a long time. They'll know how to correct it. It's just up to the kids when they get out on that field to do it the right way.
All right, and take us home with Mario Cristobal.
Well, that was not a good birthday for him. I mean, so Mario is, hopefully there was a lot of competition this week where guys felt like it was tough. It was tough. Hopefully it was tough, because what you want is that it's been tough for 2 weeks and you're begging to play somebody else. You can't wait to get on the field with these guys wearing the Jordan brand stuff. And knowing that you have never beat them, wanting to especially after being embarrassed last week, 2 weeks ago, and embarrassed by UNC the last time they played them. So Mario, I'm pretty sure, put it on him this last 2 weeks, and we'll see on Saturday, man. This is a big game for Miami because there are some games that we did not count on them losing. And we did not count on that Middle Tennessee State game. We probably come into this game saying, how good are we? Well, now we have to answer these questions, so we'll see. We'll see on Saturday, man.
What works best? Let me have you put your assistant head coach hat on now of the Orlando franchise of the XFL. In a situation like this with a team, what works best in this 2-week period? Is it a soft touch, a delicate touch? Or is it an iron fist, like, a hard approach?
Well, I mean, for what he's trying to build there, I would think it's a hard approach. And because that's the mentality that he's trying to set in place there. If you go backwards, then you're confusing them.
Right.
You got to be hard on them, man. And the fact is, you're saying that, hey, if you can't get with this culture that we're trying to build here, then maybe you need to go somewhere else. That's what you're trying to create there, and say if you want to go somewhere else, that's just more guys that we can bring in, because you can go, we'll bring some other guys in. They want to be here, because this building is about competition, and competition is going to make us better.
All right, LT. Well, great show. Having some fun with my man E. Taylor over here. He's a character.
He just messing with you.
Yeah, he's messing with me. But no, man, I think hopefully by Saturday everybody's united again. I mean, there's been a lot of craziness going on with the fans, and a lot of anger, and guys getting their frustrations out with each other and all that. Hopefully by Saturday everybody's back united, coming to Hard Rock and cheering, not booing. And helping will this team to a win this Saturday. It's a huge game for the program. A lot of big time recruits are coming to town for this game. Miami is all in on Saturday. They got to get it done. All right, LT, great show, man.
The 1987 team, we're celebrating them. I'm I'm a big fan of these guys. I can't wait to see these guys. I mean, they guys I idolize, so I'll be there, and it's going to be a great weekend. Let's hope that.
All right, LT. Well, we'll see you out there on Saturday. We thank everybody for watching tonight. Remember our sponsors, Caneswear, the law office of Christine Rosendahl, La Spada Subs. Go buy yourself a sub when you go to Caneswear to buy your gear as well. We'll be back with the Lamar Thomas Show again next Wednesday. We'll see you guys at the stadium Saturday. Saturday night, we'll have post-game show also sponsored by Caneswear. Have a great night, everybody.
Go Canes.